A very happy new year to all of you and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm your learning partner Sushila Hariharan. In this module, we're going to take a look at what are the different types of equity instruments with a specific focus on ADR. We'll take a look at what are ADRs. We'll explore the process of how ADRs are issued. And finally, we'll do a fun math activity on how do we calculate ADR entitlements. Let's take a little background on equity. Equity basically means proportionate ownership. So the proportionate is proportionate to the equity shareholders or to the complete capital of the company. Ownership defines that they are the owner of the company's assets. So an equity owner is a part owner of the company's assets. So that elaborates on the first point, that is proportionate ownership. Since the equity owner is a part owner of the company's assets, she assumes the risk in the equity investment. As an owner runs the risk of losses, runs the risk of non-assured returns, like any typical entrepreneur does. Similarly, if the equity owner also has no assured return by the issuer can decide whether they want to declare dividends. They can decide what percentage the dividends are going to be declared at, and they can also decide how much and when the dividends will be paid. There is no redemption date. Equity in a company is rarely extinguished except during events of corporate restructuring. And finally, there is no statutory monetary obligation. This implies that there are non monetary obligations from the issuer, which includes getting shareholder approval for corporate restructurings, getting shareholder approval for dividend payments, etc. So there are a host of non-monetary obligations that the issuer has with respect to the concept of equity. The main types of equity that are issued and listed by Indian companies is common stock. A type of equity, exactly four companies in India have got DVRs, that's differential voting rights, issued and listed on stock exchanges. There's another module for DVR. And the third type that we're going to discuss in this module, that is ADR or American Depository Receipts. First, let's take a look at what are common stock. Common stock is also called as share capital. The common stockholder has voting rights as one stock is equal to one vote. The par value of common stock in Indian context differs from stock to stock, and given certain regulations by SEBI, companies can issue their common stock at these par values. Dividends are declared as a percentage of par value. Let's take a look at what are American Depository Receipts. American Depository Receipts, also called as ADRs, are issued by Indian companies via US based depository banks. As the name suggests, they are issued in America. It's a depository receipt, it's not an outright share. Non-US based companies trade their stock on the New York Stock Exchange via the ADRs. In the upcoming slide, we're going to take a look at how ADRs are issued, and that perhaps is the most unique aspect of the ADR. ADR is quoted in USD quite naturally. If it is traded on New York Stock Exchange, on the NYSE, it will obviously be traded in the currency of that country, which is USD. In fact, we have Japanese companies which have ADRs, we have Indian companies which have ADRs, we even have South Korean companies which have ADRs listed on the NYSE. The important point to remember over here is that ADR holders have the same voting rights and dividend entitlements as common stock holders. Let's take a look at how ADRs are issued. In an ADR, the broker buys the INR denominated stock which is listed or unlisted in some cases, like Rediff.com as an ADR. Rediff ADR is not listed on NSE or BSE, but it has an NYSE ADR. So if it is listed, the broker buys the INR denominated stock from the local exchanges. In our case, it will be the NSE or the BSE. Remember, the broker is buying in large quantities. It's a high value transaction in huge volumes because this entire lot will then get listed via ADRs on the NYSE. So it has to be a substantial volume of shares that are going to be bought. What does the broker do after this? The broker then keeps the stock with the local custodian bank. It's very important to remember this. The broker, after buying the stock, deposits it with the local custodian bank. A custodian is a financial institution which holds securities on behalf of the broker. What does the local custodian bank then do? The local custodian bank then informs the US based depository bank that they have purchased and they are holding the underlying INR denominated stock. Once the US based depository bank gets a confirmation from the local custodian bank that the stock is with the local custodian bank, the US based depository bank goes ahead and then issues the ADRs to the investment community based in the US, and these ADRs get listed on the NYSE. Most often, the local custodian bank and the US based depository bank belong to the same group. For example, it could be the Citigroup or JP Morgan or Deutsche Bank, etc. Okay, it can happen that it doesn't belong also, but they would have an arrangement by which the local custodian bank has a tie-up of some sorts with the US based depository bank. So that is the meaning of the word depository receipt. The issuance is by an Indian company, but the listing and the process of getting it traded on the NYSE is the responsibility of the US based depository bank. All right. So we have a few ADRs that are listed on NYSE in the Indian context. Indian companies, that's ICICI Bank, Infosys, etc., are all companies that are listed on the local stock exchanges, that is NSE and BSE, and they're also listed on the NYSE. So on the NSE BSE, they trade in INR, and on the NYSE, they trade in dollars. So once this concept of how ADRs are issued and listed is clear, then we can understand that the trading and the settlement takes place in the same fashion. Let's take a look at an example, because examples will obviously strengthen our knowledge, right? This will remain theoretical without getting a practical example. So in order to strengthen our understanding of ADR, let's take a look at one specific ADR, and that is ICICI Bank. ICICI Bank ADR operates like this. One ICICI Bank ADR is equal to 2 common stock of ICICI Bank. Okay, so remember this, understand this. 2 common stock is listed in NSE or BSE but held by the custodian bank in INR. The ADR is listed and traded in NYSE denominated in dollars over there. Let's say the ICICI stock price for a particular day, today is Jan 3rd, 2022, is 750 rupees. One ICICI Bank ADR is equal to 2 common stock. One ICICI stock, the stock price on NSE is 750 rupees. ICICI Bank ADR price is calculated according to these two input numbers. There's a third input number that is needed, and that is the USD INR rate, which is 75 rupees. I would like you to think about this and I'm not giving the answer right away. I will wait for 2 days before I post the answer on the comment section. I would like you all to work this out and let me know the answer in the comment section of the channel. Okay, it's very simple. One ICICI Bank ADR is equal to 2 common stock, that is a lot size. The stock price is 750 rupees. So what will be the ADR price? Right? Then we have to convert that, because it is traded on NYSE, we have to convert that ADR price into dollars because we have calculated only the INR value. So how do we calculate the dollar value? Works out something like this. Waiting for your answers, looking forward to your answers and responses on the comments. Another fun math question. Okay, as I said, dividend entitlements are the same for both the shareholders and the ADR holders. The lot size is the same, it cannot change. Okay, this is the lot size that has been prescribed by NYSE for ICICI Bank. We have Infosys which has different lot size, which is 1:1, but over here it is 1:2. The dividend per share that ICICI Bank has announced for its shareholders is 1 rupee per share. Dividend per share is DPS, that is 1 rupee per share. My favorite Marvel character, Doctor Strange, owns 1000 ICICI Bank ADRs. Okay, that's very less, na, for his wealth. If the USD INR rate is 75, can we calculate on the basis of this information how much dividend Dr. Strange will earn? Again, I am not giving the answer. I'd like you all to think about it because I've given you all the inputs. Let me know in the comments box what is the dividend that the ADR holder, Dr. Strange, will earn. Thank you so much for viewing this video. If you have any queries, please post in the comments box. Please post the answers to do these two math questions that I've asked you, DPS as well as ADR pricing. If there are any topics that you would like me to cover, do post your suggestions in the comments box. And your feedback is very important to me and my team, especially because they think a lot about how to create interesting and relevant content. Thank you so much. And again, best wishes for a great 2022.